Welcome to the Marlene Saunders Show, where we have real talk, real conversation, and you're welcome to it. If you're new to this channel, I would love for you to subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification, and let's get started.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Marlene of the Marlene Saunders Show, and we're going to be having another real talk, real conversation today. And today is going to go in a little deeper than normal. I'm going to be talking about depression and unaliving, which is the term for taking your life. And this is a serious topic, serious nature. And of course, I'm always going to do things respectfully. It's an open panel, so you're welcome to come up and share any thoughts that you have about this topic. So I just wanted to welcome everybody in. Thank you so much for spending some time out of your busy day to spend with me so that we can talk about this important topic, that of depression and unaliving, which is really tough, really to talk about, but it's uncomfortable. But also, over here, I talk about things that is very necessary. And of course, a disclaimer before I start, I have to say this, that all the thoughts and opinions here on this channel are that of myself or of any guests. And nobody is judging you, criticizing you, or blaming you for feeling the way that you feel. So, with that off my chest, I do have to start off by maybe sharing a little bit about my story. Um, I have to start off by first saying that for about 5 years, I would say between the time of 14 to maybe around the time of 19, I suffered with severe depression. I suffer with, the severest case, um, where I got to the point where I tried to unalive myself. I would say maybe 4 or 5 times, but during that time, uh, it was not successful. Every single time I tried to unalive myself, it didn't work. And, back in the day, people didn't have conversations about this topic. For all of you who were born during those time periods, you understand and know what I'm talking about. People didn't have conversations about deep topics. They didn't want to talk about it. Everything was swept under the rug. And I mean everything. Nothing was discussed. Everything was a hush hush, like don't embarrass yourself, don't embarrass your family. Every secret, everything. Secret, hush hush, don't talk about it, be quiet. And when we do that, when we stuff things down deeper inside of us, all it does is cause us to have new vices. For some, it's smoking, some turn to drugs, some is alcoholism, Some people, it's they become very promiscuous and get involved in that. Um, but for me, my thing was I got involved in the cutting thing. And for those of you who don't know what cutting is, it's cutting your wrists or a part of your body so that you can. It's like when you cut it, it's like you release some of the pain. So I had a lot of stuff going on, during that 14 to 19-year old in my life, dealing with a lot of family issues. And I didn't even know that I was suffering from depression. I didn't even know. That wasn't even a term that I know. I felt sad. I know I felt down and discouraged, but I didn't know that it was an actual thing that was causing me to feel how I felt, because all people would just say is, you'll get over it, you know, it will get better, right? But guess what? It didn't get better. It actually got worse, because anytime I tried to have a conversation and tell people that loved me or supposedly loved me how I was feeling, they would just say, you'll get over it. It's just a phase you're going through, The teenage years are hard, but they have no idea that it's not just the teenage years. It was trauma. It was coping with all of the things that happened to my childhood traumas, some sexual abuse. It was a lot that I was trying to cope with between those teen years, between 14 and 19, also on top of all of the other stuff that happens to you in school, being bullied, dealing with school, all the feelings about what you're going through, being a girl, growing up, your body image of yourself. It's just too much. You know what I'm saying? And I understand why it happens to so many young women and so many young men. They go through this and they don't have anywhere to turn. And that's the biggest problem. People don't have anywhere to turn to for their pain. I know I didn't, because I tried to go to my mother, I tried to go to my father, I tried to go to my older siblings. I being the 10th child, I had a lot of siblings, and everyone I would reach out to, it was kind of like extinguished very quickly. Oh, you'll get over it, it's just a phase, you're just going through something, it will get better, don't you worry. But month after month, year after year, it was not getting better. And then I started getting into the form of an eating disorder. And boy, is that something. And it was not the eating disorder that you guys think of with bulimia, eating a lot and then throwing up. I went all the way to the other extreme. I went all the way over to anorexia nervosa, which is basically starving yourself. And it was like, I don't know, it was just something like, because you can't control everything that's going on around you, all of the pain, everything that you're stuffing down inside of you. I tried the cutting thing, that helped for a little while. And then, just like everything, it gets old. I was like, well, it helped for a little while, but then it stopped helping me. And then I started, the self image, how you're looked at as a young lady or a young man. And then, you're developing different from other people your age. And let's just keep it real. Most of us in the African American community, we develop faster than other nationalities, right? So it's like you're dealing with all of this. You're dealing with everything you got going on in your head, and then it's like at home you don't feel safe, to vent how you feel and not get the support. when you go to school, you don't get support, you get bullied. So for me, I felt like, well, where am I going to feel safe? Where am I going to be able to let my hair down to actually talk about how I feel? Because it's like you're hated at school, you're hated at home. Well, I wasn't actually hated at home, but that's how I felt at the time. Being a teenager, I felt like hated. Why why am I going through all of this, and why can't I be loved and supported? Because it's crazy that you have a house full of people and you feel alone. I feel like that's the craziest thing in the entire world, to have a lot of people around you, but to feel alone. And that messed me up for a long time because everybody said, well, don't you have somebody to talk to? Yeah, I got a lot of people that I could talk to, but it's a whole different thing when people listen to you. So, you know, I just shared that I just want to preface it with all of this, that starting this topic off, that yeah, I had depression for about 5 years and had no idea that I had depression. I had no idea. I don't even think those words were defined, like depression, anorexia, cutting, unaliving, you know. And also during this time, coping with the depression, the cutting, I also tried to unalive myself. I would say 3 or 4 times. And I say it casually because, you know, I got to the point where I healed from those things. But yeah, the first time I tried to unalive myself, I think I was 14 years old. And I remember that day vividly, just like it was yesterday. I was 14 in ninth grade. I went into the bathroom at school. And I remember that I just had got into the biggest argument with my parents. You know, when that song by Will Smith, like parents just don't understand. That's how I felt. I felt like I was the most misunderstood person in the whole world, and I was trying to get my point across. And that, you know how like it used to be back in the day, you're trying to say something like, "I got something important." I remember telling my mom, like, "I got to tell you this." And she was just like, "I don't have time today. Like, I'll talk to you about it later." And that really pissed me off. So I was like, well, if you don't want to hear what I have to say, then I just won't be here anymore. So I remember going into my dad's fishing tackle box and taking out his, what do they call those things? Utility knives. So I took it and I put it in my backpack, went to school. It was like somewhere around lunchtime, 11:30, 12:30 or something. And I was like, this is the time. This is the time. I've had enough. And I took the utility knife out of my backpack, told my teacher that I had to go to the bathroom. I went into the bathroom. I took out the utility knife. You know how it has a little knob on it. And I started, you know, circling it so that the knife blade would come up more. And I locked the door to the bathroom and I took the blade and I started cutting my throat. And I still got the mark. I really cut myself really badly and started bleeding profusely from my neck. And when I was about to go on the other side and go in with an even deeper cut, somebody started banging on the door at school, banging on the door. And I was like, I'm in here. Somebody's in here. And they said, I gotta get in the bathroom. Come out of there. And call it what you may, divine intervention, not being my time, um, something stopped me from doing it. So I took my hand. And by that time, the blood's dripping down my shirt and everything. And I put my backpack back on and I come out the bathroom. And I just pick up my backpack and I went home. When I went home, I saw my older sister who was, I don't know, she was a little bit older than me. I think she was 17 or 18. And she was like, I won't say the words that she said, but, said a few words. And she was like, what is going on? Why are you bleeding like that? So she took me to the, what do you call that? It wasn't called the emergency room back then, whatever. And they had to make me get some stitches and stuff. And that was the first time, because, when you do those things and you're underage, they call, whatever, therapist and all kinds of things. And they want to know, am I being abused by my parents? Is somebody hurting me at home? Am I safe? So they're trying to evaluate, um, like if my parents were caring for me well, and it didn't have nothing to do with it. And I really didn't even want to be at the hospital, to be honest with you. But, anyways, the cut was deep enough that they had to go in and put in, I think it was 3 stitches on one side and two on the other. So, after all of that, that's when my mom, she comes in and, you know, she was like, what's going on? And blah, blah, blah. So, I think, like, for the first time ever in my life, like my mom and dad like really listened to me. You know how like when you say something to your parents and they're just like blow it off. I'm telling you, anybody who's parents or aunties or uncles, when a child is trying to tell you something and you're in a rush, take the time. Like, it can wait. Be late. Because I think that if had my mom would have said, okay, what do you want to talk about? I really don't think I would have went through with trying to take my life. But it is what it is. So, they signed me up for some counseling, and it was like mandatory that my mom and dad had to come in and go to counseling with me and all of this stuff. But, that's just one thing that they did not know about. I was like, oh, you think it's just that? Oh my God. I was like, you have no idea. I was like, that's just one thing. That's one thing. Okay. Trying to take my life is just one thing that I was dealing with. Um, but also at the time, I think I was like maybe 65 pounds, which is not good for a person of my height. I believe I should have been like maybe 120 pounds, and I was 65 pounds. So, yeah, think about that, skin and bones. But you know how it was back in the day, how, you used to dress, the style was the baggy clothes that I used to wear with the overalls and everything, the whole TLC, um, the colors, the big sweatshirts and stuff. So, they weren't really could see how much I had what do you call it? Initiated. I was pure skin and bones. Pure skin and bones. But they didn't know about all those things. So when we started going to counseling, that's the first time like I started to open up about, it was more than just, depression. Also, hey, I got an eating disorder. Hey, I cut myself. Hey, you know, it was some sexual abuse. Hey, it was this also. So it was a lot of things that, my parents weren't aware of, a lot of those things. And I think it was the hard, even though I think it was hard on my mom, but I think it ate, like it destroyed my dad. He didn't handle it well. And I felt bad. Like it made me feel guilty that I made him feel bad. And then that brought me into another spiral of depression because he didn't know how to do anything, because he felt like he had failed as a father because he didn't protect me from certain things. But, he didn't know what was going on and all of that. So, I didn't blame him. So I went down another slope of depression and stuff. And when I was in that next slope of depression, when my sisters, my brothers were somewhere one day, I found a whole bunch of these pills. And back in the day, they used to call them tranquilizers. I have no idea what they were. But it was like 7 or 8 of them. I took it. And I remember at the time, I believe that's when I don't remember if my mom was in nursing school, or she was studying to be a nursing assistant. And when she came and found me, how she found me, she gave me the, what is it called? Is it CPR? I think it's CPR. And then no, not CPR. It's the Heimlich. She gave me the Heimlich, and I spit up all of the pills and everything. So yeah, that was another thing. And so that was that. So we had to start increasing how much therapy. My mom was like, she needs more than this, because it the for me, the depression was escalating. Depression was escalating, everything was escalating. I was trying harder and harder to unalive myself. And no matter how much everybody started to care about me at the moment, I felt like it was too little too late, because I was just in so much pain, hurting, and I just didn't want to be here anymore, because it's like when you're down that slippery slope of pain, and it's like, where were you when I needed you? Where were you when I needed to be protected? Where were you when, I stopped eating? They were all signs like crying out for help. And I know that it's not right, but I blamed my parents. I blame my parents for everything. And that's not fair. It's not fair and not right. But I kind of felt like, because I come from such a big family, having so many people, it's like, how could I be in this big family and nobody could see how unhappy I was? Nobody could see how much weight I had lost. Like, I didn't understand that. And in my mind, I took that as nobody cared about me. So they were all cries for help. So after that was the second suicide attempt, or unaliving myself. That was the second time. And I was saved from that. The third time was, went to a party. I snuck out, being the the person that I was. I was being watched like a hawk from everybody, but of course, when you want to get out, you get out. So I got out, I went to a party, and I'm telling you, that party was everything. The parties back in the day used to be everything. The music was going, everybody was dancing, it was a good time. And at the time, I couldn't swim, right? I couldn't swim. And we were having party, everybody was dancing. I was having like the time of my life. I'm on the table, I'm dancing, everything. The best party ever. And the person's house I was with, they had a pool, and it had a screen door, right? So I'm up there dancing, but I was not aware that the table that I was dancing on, um, it was wet, like it was slick. So I get up there, and I'm doing my moves, up there. I was having time of my life dancing. I was getting it, y'all. Okay. And oh my God. Then I don't even know what happened really. I remember dancing, and then all I remember is falling backwards into the pool. Okay. Um, then I don't remember anything else but when somebody had, I guess, done some CPR and I came back to. Hmm, yeah. So somebody brought me back, and I remember choking and waking up, and I remember being so mad. I remember being so mad. Like, why did someone save me? Why didn't they just let me drown? But here I was once again, and I remember after that, like it for me, because I had like done this so many times, like they weren't like red flags or signs to me that I needed, you know, more help or all of those things. Personally, my whole objective was like, how come I can't get through this? But oh, why won't it? Why can't I just unalive myself because I really don't want to be here? But after that, after being saved and everything, and of course, there's no parents was there because it was one of those parties. And I remember going upstairs, and the girl who her parents' house. I remember going upstairs, and I took a hot shower, put on my clothes and everything, and got myself together, and just sat there on the edge of the bed, like thinking about my life, like why. Like I remember saying, like calling out to God, like, why won't you just let me go? And crying, why won't you let me go? I, I don't understand why you won't let me go. But I didn't. And I got through that time period, and I started seeing what do you call it, a psychologist. I saw a therapist. I saw a dietitian, and that with having, you know, I have to say shout out to my brothers, because like I know that sometimes it's usually supposed to be the women that's supposed to get to you, but my brothers really got inside of my head and stuff, and pulled me out through that. My brothers, like, they made sure that I would eat, because I was only eating like maybe 300 calories a day, so it was really tough for me to get back onto regular eating routine. And I struggled with that for a long time, like over, even after that was over, at least 10 years before I could start eating normally again. So I was blessed to have family that was very patient with me to make sure that I eat. And even till today, something that I still struggle with. Anytime I feel sad or stuff, I don't feel like eating. So I just wanted to share my story, in hopes that somebody who has gone through depression or is going through depression, that there is life on the other side. Mm, there is hope, and that you have a purpose. So I just wanted to share that. Let me go into the comment section. I know I missed a whole bunch of comments. And thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Your support means everything to me. Yeah, so I believe that too, Sylvia, but you know, it is what it is. in your own time, Kiki, in your own time. But I I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that, Kiki, because after that time period, after 19, is when I started coming into my own, feeling good about myself, and you know, having the courage to start sharing my story with other people. And I just wanted to, talk about this topic. I wanted to talk about this topic of it's time to speak up about depression and unaliving. I wanted to share it. I wanted to talk about it. I didn't go into every single thing because there's no way I can share. I have probably another maybe 4 or 5 hours of other things that happened to me after 19 years old, but that's just that part of my life. And I wanted to share this in hopes that somebody who is feeling like I felt, you know, that you're not alone and it's not something that you can just snap out of. I definitely wanted to say that. I wanted to put up some things that I uh, that I found online, that depression is a common mental disorder. Globally, it's estimated that 5% of adults suffer from the disorder, and it is characterized by persistent sadness and a lack of interest or pleasure. So that was what it was for me. I just wanted to stay in bed all the time and constantly just, I wanted to sleep my life away. So that's a sign that, maybe you, or maybe somebody you love, if all they want to do is sleep, that was a sign for me, because it's like getting up out of bed means that you got to face the world and life and your problems. And I just didn't want to. So I just wanted to say that over 45,000 people unalive themselves each year. And that's far too many. It's far too many people because of sometimes lack of support, maybe mental instability. There's a lot of reasons why people go through depression. But the thing that we don't want to do, we don't want to judge them. You don't want to criticize them or tell them everything is going to be okay. Because for me, when I was going through it and somebody says that it's going to be okay, I used to get so mad and say, how do you know that? How do you know that? So don't assume to know how somebody else feels. Don't assume that you can understand and comprehend the things that somebody else is going through. Sometimes the best thing you can do during these times is just listen. Just listen to them without judgments. Just let them talk, or sometimes just let them cry. Just hug them. Just reassure them of your love. Sometimes that's the best thing that you can do. And I did want to say this, that it's important to speak to someone that you can trust, because talking to someone allows you to cope with it, either you or somebody that you love. I know for me, I tried to talk to family, but for me, it didn't work because they couldn't understand. And I get it. Sometimes people can't get it unless you have really gone through a major depression. You can't get it. It's not something that you can just snap out of. You're in it, and you're down that rabbit hole until you're out of it. It's just you can't come out of it. You're just in a dark space mentally. So just being supportive of somebody is really important. And I want to encourage anybody who needs some help. Speak to somebody that you can trust, because talking to somebody is going to help. And I just wanted to share, this is a hotline that's available 24 hours a day, every single day. The crisis hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. And this is not sponsored by them. I have no affiliation with this crisis hotline, but um, I think it's important that if you don't have somebody in your family or a therapist, or you're afraid to tell anybody, you got to talk to somebody. And it could be the first step in helping you. So I just want anybody who's listening to this now, anybody who's listening on the replay, know that you're not facing this alone. It's really important for you to understand that you are not alone in your pain. You're not the only person who feels sadness, who feels in a dark space, who feels that nobody cares about you. I've been there. I know what that's like. And you just feel so low. You feel worthless. Trust me, I understand that. And nobody's judging you or criticizing. This is a safe space for you to feel how you feel. If anybody wants to talk, I am here to support you. No judgments. My email is going to be in the description box if you want to reach out for some support. And some ways that we can gain some support is a counselor, a therapist, a life coach, an older person in your life, your priest, your pastor, a trusted friend, a mentor, a support group. But we have to start talking about gaining some support, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to cope with what you're going through. You have to get support, because when you get support, that's how you know that you're not alone. And I want you to know that this may help. And some of the ways that you may need to get some help is maybe you may need to see a doctor and talk to them about how you feel. And sometimes that means that you may need to take some medicine to help you to get your mental stabilized. You may need to volunteer your time, get out of the house, give back to somebody else. Also, joining a support group. That was major and big for me. Talking to somebody else who feels like I felt, like especially that helped me. Having somebody when I was going through the anorexia, I had to have somebody else, because telling somebody who has never had anorexia about how you feel and the things that you're going through, because some people will just say, just eat, and then just eat. And it's way more than that. Um, so I just want you all to know, get some support, either in a group, in person, or online, but get some help. That's the important thing. And I just want you to know that anybody who's listening right now, whether you have had depression, or maybe you're just going through a sad period, a dark period, I just want you to know that you have a purpose. You are here for a reason. You are somebody. You are loved and you are worthy. I'm telling you, those words meant so much to me when I was going through my counseling and everything, and seeing a therapist. I never thought I wasn't even worth the dirt on the ground. I thought I was nobody. I thought nobody cared about me. I thought I didn't have a purpose, no meaning. I felt so low and in a dark space because of sometimes the things that we're carrying, the weight that you have on your head and in your heart. It's too much to bear. So you feel like, why should I even be here? But don't think that way. Don't stay in that dark space. And that's why you have to get some support and get somebody around you that will listen to you, that will say, I'm here for you. Okay, please get some support, because the most important thing is that, I made it through the storm. I made it through that rabbit hole. I can say that through 3 times of almost unaliving myself. Well, it's more than 3 times, but we're just going to talk about these 3 times. I'll talk about the rest in another live stream. But and in those times where I almost unalived myself, I It gave me clarity that I have a purpose. I'm here for a reason. And the same thing I say to all of you. You all have a purpose and a meaning in your life, and know that you are somebody. No matter what you've done, no matter what you've been through, no matter what other people have done to you, and no matter who has hurt you and left you and disappointed you, you have a meaning and you are somebody important and special. I want you to know that. But it takes somebody sometimes who has gone through on the other side to tell you, I have been where some of you have been. I know what it's like. I know what those dark periods, I know what it's like to cry yourself to sleep, to think about not being here, to think that you're nobody. But then I know what it's like today to stand in a space and say, I made it through that. I made it through that storm. I'm courageous, I'm strong, and I'm a beautiful woman. I'm a child of God, and a special one at that. And I want you to remind yourself of that whenever you go through your dark periods, whenever you feel like unaliving yourself, whenever you feel so sad and depressed, whenever you feel like nobody cares about you. Know how important and special you are, and that you'll make it through by getting support, by knowing your worth, by knowing that you're loved. And it's okay to shed your tears and cry, but don't think that you have to cope with what you're going through alone. You don't have to go through anything on your own. Yes, you definitely have a purpose. Yes, there is hope. Yeah, me either, Kiki. Can't eat a thing. And I just want to say thank you all so much for supporting me, supporting this channel. And I'm just asking everybody if they could please share this out, because I want whoever needs to hear this message. I know that there has to be one person, two people, five people, 10 people, 100, 1,000 people who have gone through this, who are going through this, who are deep in it, that knows that somebody else has gone through it and made it. And I want you all to know that you can make it through whatever storm, whatever battle, whatever you're struggling with yesterday, the traumas, painful situations. You can endure it. You're strong enough. You have a value and a purpose. You are somebody of worth. And I want you to know that. And I want you to speak it over your life until you believe it. It may take you a long time, but you got to keep telling yourself, you got to keep speaking it over your life. You have to manifest those things. And nobody can't make you believe in yourself. That's something that you have to do for yourself. And when you get involved in your purpose, know that your value, know how important and special you are, know that you have a worth and there's a purpose to your life. You may start seeing a smile come to your face, and that's a good feeling. And I can tell you, as somebody who used to be in that dark space, these days I wake up with a smile on my face because I have a purpose. And I know when I talk to um, other people about what I've been through in my darkness, I feel like a little bit of that weight, it lifts off of me, and I shed a tear. But today I'm okay. Today I'm stronger. Today I'm courageous. And I'm grateful that now I can speak about my story with courage. I'm not ashamed of what I went through. I'm not ashamed of the things that I did. I, 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 I claim all of it, because all of it made me stronger and made me to be the woman that I am today. And I want to speak to all of the ladies, all of the gentlemen, even the youth, maybe somebody, a young person who's listening to this message. You know, I wish somebody had told me when I was 14 to 19 that you're not going to always be dealing with these knucklehead kids in school, and that people are always going to say mean to you, and people aren't going to accept you, and people will say things slick out of their mouth. and wrong things are going to happen to you in your life, but don't make that be something to cause you to want to unalive yourself. You got to define who you are. You got to learn to be okay and step into your uniqueness. You are wonderfully made, and you got to know how special you are. Who cares about the people who don't like you? Who cares about them? At the end of the day, who cares about them? In a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they're not going to be anywhere in your life. And I wish somebody had told me that. The people, those kids that were making fun of me, the kids that didn't like me, and the people who don't support you, one day you're going to grow up and be such a strong person in your purpose, having joy, living your life. And that's going to be the last thing on your mind. And then you're going to look back and say, oh, I remember when I used to be like that. I remember when I wasn't strong. But on today, I can stand up and say how strong I am, how confident I am, that I know my worth. And I want somebody who is not there to know that you can get there. Amen. I speak over you as it has already happened. And I wish everybody the best. Anybody who's struggling with anything, feeling like they can't go on, they can't endure, I want you to know that you're not alone in anything. You're not alone. And you may feel like it at times, but reach out for support. Maybe if you need it, get some meds to help you. Find somebody to talk to. Get busy in a purpose. Sometimes staying home, looking at the walls, being in a dark room, that aids to you feeling the way you feel. And I don't want anybody to not feel precious. Each of us deserves to be precious, to know that we have worth, that we have a purpose, that you are somebody, that you can get involved in helping another person. See, I didn't want to go through my pain and my story and keep all of that to myself, because I feel like this is a gem. I'm holding precious personal truths that I can share, that's going to enlighten somebody, and it may cause even one person to stay here on this earth. Then I will feel like my meaning, the meaning for my life, has been fulfilled. So I want the best for each and every one of you. And I thank you all so much for joining me today, for listening to me. And I just want you all to know that you have a purpose. You are somebody, and you are loved. And I hope for blessings to be over your life. I hope that you just take it one day at a time with patience, love, and understanding. You can get through any situation. This has been the Marlene Saunders Show, where we have real talk and real conversations, and you're welcome to it. And I'm going to end with the song that was written by Boss Life Online. I made it, and you can make it too. Thank you for joining me.
Forgive me, I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? I forgive me, I love me. I've been blessed that I I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? Ooh, hey, yeah.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself.